Hello, I'm Dale Petrock. This morning I was out at the range and took my CZ457 MTR varmint and decided to try some ammo at 180 yards. I had previously looked at Ely Team and some others relative to 180 yards and thought this time I would try TAC 22, SK Rifle Match, and Lapua Center-X at 180 yards. And so I set up the target and used my long shot camera to record it. And the video of that will follow this, probably be speeded up because it's dull to watch in the particular kind of shooting sequences, but you can see it at that point. I started off with TAC 22, and because I had been using the rifle in 180 yards, I used one of the hanging triangles or diamonds, 6-inch one, to make sure that it was still centered, and then moved immediately into shooting groups. I wasn't shooting for score, I was shooting for group size, and so in this particular case, the groups are what I was looking at. The first target with TAC 22 had a overall group size of 3 3/8 inches, about 3 inches horizontal and about 2.58 vertical. So in this particular case, the horizontal is probably more me, and probably is about certainly it's about a 3-inch group, but probably is about 2.5 to 3 inches in general. The second group that I shot in that TAC 22 series was 3 11/16 inches overall. Again, horizontal was about 2 5/8, and vertical was about 3.5. The vertical may be more related to the velocity of the ammo, but I'm not sure. It's pretty consistent with what I did in the previous 180-yard kind of group. Up next is the SK Rifle Match, and you'll notice on one of the targets that there's an extra hole, and that was because I was trying to get the SK Rifle Match to shoot in the same place as the TAC 22. The TAC 22 is being a lot hotter than the SK Rifle Match. So the SK Rifle Match was about 12 inches lower at 180 yards than was the TAC 22 lot that I was using. In any case, on the first target with the SK Rifle Match, the overall group was 4 7/8, but there was one flyer in that group, with the 9 being within 3 1/16 inches, 2 inches roughly horizontal, and about 4 3/8 vertical. Again, I think the vertical has more to do with the velocity of the ammo than anything else. The second target had a 10-shot group of 3 7/16, with 9 being within 2 3/8 inches. I had adjusted the sight to be a little more closely aligned to center in case there was a flyer, but it didn't have one, as much of one anyway. And so what we see is horizontal was about 1 7/8 inches, with vertical being about 3 1/4 inches. And then finishing up, the first target with Center-X dropped a lot of them right in a very small group, about roughly an inch to 1 1/4 inches. And then there were a couple of flyers that dropped out. So what we saw is with the flyers, the group overall, all 10 of them were 2 7/8, with 9 being within 2 1/8 inches overall, with the vertical being about 2 7/8, while the horizontal was only about 1 1/8 inches. So without those two flyers, it would have been easily with under 2 inches or under. Then the second group with Center-X saw a 10-shot group of 3 15/16, with a horizontal of 2.5 and vertical of 3 3/8. Now, the trick was that there's a lot of vertical stringing on that one, and I'm not sure if that was me or if that was because of the differences in the ammo at that point, or what exactly had taken place. I had lowered the sight slightly to accommodate with the target, the shooting slightly high with the previous, and so I expected things to be a little lower, and they didn't really drop much. So I'm not sure, but in a sense, that really doesn't matter. Now, you should have been looking at the targets as I went through them. If there's any questions, certainly let me know. It was about 80 degrees. It was a slight wind from my back, maybe 3 miles an hour coming from 6 to 7 o'clock. Very consistent, so it should have been equally impactful on all types of ammo used. Using the standard rig that you see in the cover photo, and also using my long shot camera kind of to take the video of the process. So if there's any questions, feel free to let me know. The scope on the rifle is a Mueller 40 power, and it's pushing the edge on clarity on an overcast morning like we saw today. And so it's starting to get a little fuzzier than I would like to see it at 180 yards, but it functions fine. It's a really good scope under a bright day, but not quite as good a scope when it's not quite as bright a day. Any questions, let me know. Thank you. Have a good day. Anybody need to go down?
You go down? What? Yes, everybody needs to go down. You go down? Everybody needs to go down.
Okay, I'll go on to the next end then.
So,